Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Scream Scene. I am Jody Dean. Here is my co-host, Krista. Krista, what's going on?
Not much. I'm excited to flip the script on you today.
Ooh, talking about scripts. I just started another one, but I don't know if we should talk about it right now. But what do we got planned here tonight? Let me know.
I'll be interviewing you this time. So usually, it's us talking smack about whatever we feel like, but this time the attention's on you.
Ooh, okay. All right.
You ready?
Uh there's nobody better. I rather interview me than you. So yeah, this should be interesting to see what you got here.
I figure with all of your trailer dropping, people are going to have some things to say, so I just wanted to go over a few questions with you to see how you're feeling about it. One of the first things I noticed, your youngest kid, he's in your movies with you, cussing a lot. How do you think that affects you and your family and your kids? Do you think that's a problem for viewers? Like, especially because he's been in your HTD videos too. So you see him cross posting, I guess called cross posting.
Yeah. Yeah. So well, in real life, he does not walk around cussing at all. But he's an actor, and I would want him to take any role that he would want to do. The role that I wrote for the movie, initially, I didn't plan on putting the kids in it. They came to me and said they wanted to be in a movie. So I changed some things in the script, but one thing I didn't change is a lot of the wording, a lot of the dialogue. The dynamic is very close to what the original was. I just made it to where it could be my kids instead of like a brother and a sister that are older. Um, so yeah, as an actor, I'm sure there's a lot of actors. As you know, you played in my movie. You played a prostitute. Are you a prostitute in real life? No, you're a freaking genius writer. And my kids now are very focused on the acting thing. They're very excited. We're very proud of them. And I tell you what, the performance that Jace gave in Mallet 1 and in Mallet 2 is just phenomenal. The performance that Anthony gave, a 16-year-old playing a massacre, a serial killer, is phenomenal. So, um, at the end of the day, this is acting. This is a movie, and my kids are so well behaved. You've met them in real life. They are so respectful, so mannerful. And again, this I am super proud. I can't wait to see what they do. And this shows what they can do. This shows that they can be mature and that they can go to distances that a lot of kids probably don't get the opportunity to go to. So I think it's actually pretty cool.
You are 110% with your kids being able to I've seen them turn it on and turn it off. Like Jace was one of the most respectful 9-year-olds I've ever met in my life. He was so sweet. He was very patient, funny as crap. And you see more of the real him in your HTD videos that you're doing, the Rando Not videos, because
Right.
he's himself, he's just being his 9-year-old self. He's not, turning up the aggression for a scene. And he pulls those scenes off so well. Like they're both incredible actors, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, and I'll make sure that I pass that along to them. They think the world of you, and yeah, they're such great kids, and we're really great parents. I mean, just because I write a script, something um doesn't show who I am at all. I obviously I write fiction, I write horror. In real life, we're not killing people. This is something we do for the movies, and it's a genre that we live and we breathe and we love, and we're making movies like the movies we want to see.
110%. And that takes me to my next question that I have for you. So, what was the hardest part about working with actors and directing them in general, regardless if it's your kids or just normal actors on set?
Um, so that is a very good question, and I don't think it's one that anybody has asked me yet in any interviews that I have done. Um, the hardest thing about working with actors and directing them is them not believing in themselves, um, or not being prepared mentally, physically. I don't expect people to always show up and no dialogue, but I do hope and somewhat expect that they're just able to follow simple direction. And most of the time when I cast somebody, I kind of have to have that feeling that they can do that before I say, "Hey, I want you." Or if I come to you, it's because I know that's something that you can do. A simple direction. I'm not making freaking Marvel movies. We're not making the uh Infinity War here. We are making low budget B movies, horror films, indie horror, and it's just actors not believing in themselves. I will say this: I haven't really had many issues in the first movie or the second movie. There's been a few times where I could tell maybe like two actors out of the entire cast for both films, I just don't feel like mentally they believed in themselves. And when you don't, it shows in your performance. I will say this, and and I don't mean this is like a diss or anything like that, because it's not. I mean, first off, when you work with people that aren't approaching acting as a profession, as a career, you're taking a chance as it is, right? I mean, and I
Right.
like working with people that aren't necessarily doing this as a profession. In other words, I don't look for actors that have like long resumes. I like to look for people that would understand simple direction. I like their look; it fits something I'm going for. Um, Maybe I like their voice, just a conglomerate of things. But you know, there's been a couple situations where I had to do some superb editing to make it look like somebody was a better actor than what they were. And I will say this, everybody in the room said, "Wow, you made that bitch act." And not and I think they even knew it themselves. Like they walked away maybe like a little discouraged. And even maybe I had like thoughts in my head like, I don't know, man, if this is gonna work. I might have to recast this. And I get in the editing room and I put it together, and you're like, wow, I could never tell that they couldn't act. And it still looked good, still got what I wanted.
Well, that's where your skills definitely come in handy because you are a jack of all trades.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I've been curious. So I'm going to ask you. I don't know if you feel comfortable answering, but how do you go about figuring out your budget for the film and what actually was your budget?
Wow. Okay. Um, well, the budget for Mallet 2 was about $10,000. Not about, it was $10,000. Which is not a lot, but you also got to remember, I'm writing these things, I'm directing them, I'm doing the lighting, I'm doing the special effects makeup, and doing the music, and even designing the DVD covers and handling everything. Like literally, I got luckier on part two than I did part one, because there were people around extra amounts of times, just like you. Like you came, you did your parts on set, but then we were shooting more stuff that day. And you were like, hey, if you need something out of your effects cart, let me know and I'll get it for you. There were other situations like that where actors were like, hey, if I can do something, let me know. And we ended up giving them extra credits, like in the end credits of the film. So we do these, I do these low budget, because you never know what's going to happen. You could spend $10,000 and not make $10. And it's better to go in that direction than spend 100 grand and not make $100, right?
Mhm.
So there's that. As far as how the budgets are going to go, I kind of sit down, come up with the title, get somewhat of a visual, put $10,000 down before I start writing the script, and say, okay, when you're writing this, try and stay within this range of money right here. Make this amount work, because that makes sense. Now, you know, here's the thing. My first movie was last year, and that the budget for that movie was probably less than 10,000. However, I had a movie person come to me and they said, "What's your budget for it?" And I told them what I spent. And they said, "Well, who did this?" I said, "I did." They said, "Well, who did this?" I said, "I did." And they said, "Basically, you did every job, right?" And they said, "Well, what is your time worth?" I said, "Well, I don't know." And they said, "Well, if I wanted to ask you to write a script for my next movie, what would you charge me?" And I'm like, "Well, what are you looking for? 277 pages? Okay. I'm probably charge you like 10 to 15,000 bucks." They're like, "Okay, so right there, just the script alone, it cost more than your whole movie. How much would you cost to film it?" I'm like, "Oh man, 6 months of my life, probably 50, 60,000. Special effects makeup for a whole film like this, 60,000." We just went down the line and they were like, and we ended up somewhere around 500 G's. And they said, "That's the budget of your movie." They said, "Jody, you got to stop not putting a value on you, on your time, on your commitment."
Right.
So on paper, on IMDb, it'll say $500,000 because I'm putting value on my time. Money
And
wise, on screen, 10 G's.
people don't know that you're not even paying yourself. So that
Right.
10,000 isn't even pay for you. That's like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah,
big.
that's very true. I've yeah, the first movie did, surprisingly well, and I haven't given myself any money from it. However, I am using all the money from it to make this film, the next film, and handfuls of films hopefully to come.
And speaking of this film and your next film, we already touched on Jace a little bit, but Anthony, who plays the killer, he's 16.
Yes.
How did you feel about putting him in a serial killer role in general, and how did he feel about that?
Um, so when we first ever talked about it, it sounded really cool, but I don't think we hadn't went all through the script or anything yet. But when we finally got to that point and we started talking about what was going to happen, what kind of scenes, this and that, what he'd have to see, what he'd have to do, um, he told me that he felt like he could handle it. It was something that he would like to do. He loves horror films just like I do. We spend a lot of time as a family watching scary movies together. And one thing my mom didn't do to me whenever I was a kid was she never said, "You can't watch that because." She would say, "Go pick a movie." I'd pick a movie, I'd bring it up here. She didn't say anything. She'd get it for me. That helped me be more aware in life as a kid of things that were going on. And I wasn't sheltered from truths and stuff like that. Now, there has been some sheltering that we've done along the line, maybe a little bit more strict in some aspects. But when it comes to horror films, for a lot of the time, we're like, if you think you can handle it, let's do it. And there's some parts you got to cover their eyes, right? But
Right.
for the most part, yeah, our taste in films is the same. Anthony, we did a screen test where we put him in the costume and said, "Okay, I want you to walk in the room. I want you to start shaking a little bit like you're psychotic. I want you to go up to this girl. There wasn't actually a girl standing there. And I was like, I want you to act like you're bludgeoning her to death and then show me how you're going to walk away." And the first time he did it, it was so good, so terrifying that I was like, "Dude, if there would have been an actress there, we could have just kept that scene." So it was really simple. And I think, again, at the end of the day, it's like I've asked these kids a million times, I guess just for reassurance, like as we're going along making these movies, like, "Do you really like doing this? Like, are you enjoying yourself?" And every single time the response is like, "Yeah, I love it. This is so cool." The day after we finished Mallet 2, it wasn't the day after we finished, but it was like the day that I had it all edited and polished. They both said to me, "When are we going to start the next one?" I'm like, "God, guys, give me a month. Let me relax." So they're ready to go. And not only are they ready to go, but they want to stay in the horror vein with me as well.
Anthony definitely plays a convincing serial killer for sure. He's got the physique, the body language, and acting with no words. That takes skill, and
Yeah.
he definitely has it.
Yeah. And I think in Mallet too, people are definitely he's 10 times more menacing and Mallet too. It's just there's several times where people on set, like you can tell, like they almost feel uncomfortable and they know that it's fake. And they'll tell me sometimes, it's like, man, he really scared me when we were just over there. And I'm like, he was just standing there. And they're like, there's something about the way he's moving. You know, it's kind of like that whole. Now I know Bane and the Dark Knight. I think it was the Dark Knight Rises. I might be wrong. The Dark Knight, whatever. The one with Bane, Tom Hardy. He had dialogue. He did speak, but you couldn't ever see his mouth moving. So what he did with his eyes was like mind blowing. I always talk about that because there's not a lot of people that can carry a whole movie with their eyes, but it's 10 times harder when people can't see nothing. Like and that mask that he's wearing, by the way, it's hard for him to hardly see out of it. And in real life, he can't see that well. So like I've seen him like bust his ass or run into a wall, not wearing his glasses, just trying to get to the refrigerator in the kitchen. So you know, where there's some struggles here and there, yeah, but you would never know when you see it on camera, man. I would yell action, and I would say that almost every first or second clip we always keep of Anthony as Mallet.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Your kids, man, they're great. They're perfect for these roles. And so do you think that your experience growing up around horror, like your mom letting you just pick out whatever you want, do you like what do you think makes you a great filmmaker in the horror genre? Do you think those experiences fed into that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So when I would watch those movies, and my whole life, I do this to this day, I take in everything. The music that's playing, when it starts playing, when it gets lower, when it gets louder, um, you know, the shots, how they have things framed, how they make people feel uneasy with the way that somebody is framed in a shot, making it look like they're secluded, they're all alone, or there's just too much going on, or I've just learned like every single shot there is, and I've studied film without ever having a camera before I ever had a camera. Like I would study the shots and the lighting of the shot and the way that people acted and what made it scary. So whenever I finally got a camera, people around me would say, "Wow, you've never worked with the camera before?" No, but I understand what I want and and how it's supposed to look. So, you know, I spent more time learning like the technical stuff, like on the camera, not what to do with it. Like I always knew what to do with it. With the lighting, I always knew what to do with it. Um, so I think really my mom letting me do what I wanted to do at a young age, which wasn't that bad. You know, like watching horror films, I could have been doing a lot worse. Just taking it in and being so interested, it definitely helped me. But I think the best thing I bring as a filmmaker on an indie level, like I'm not gonna you're never gonna see me be doing like a Marvel movie or a DC movie or anything like that. But on an indie level, I can write these things, I can direct them, I can film them, I can edit them. You know, as I've said before, I do the music. I've learned all these jobs. Am I a master at any of them? I will say that I'm really good at all of them. Maybe I'm not a master at all of them, but you don't have to be. It's indie horror. We're not going for blockbusters here. I'm making the kind of movies I like to make, and a lot of the movies I watch, um, they're the same kind of movies that I'm doing. They're low budget. They don't have a lot to work with. In some cases, you're taking what you can get. You know, is there times where I wish that I could have brought 50 people into a room and had all of them rehearse the same line and pick the best one? Maybe. But like at the end of the day, like I haven't put anything out and I won't put anything out that I don't love.
I noticed a lot of those elements that you're talking about, the camera angles and stuff in Mallet 1, the first one, and that was one of my favorite aspects of the movie. It just added to the creepiness, the shots from above looking down and I mean, you can tell that you've watched a lot of horror because not a lot of people get those camera angles. They're just right on, like face to face camera angles. But with that being said,
Appreciate that.
your first one, it did make about $200,000, and that was just straight to DVD and streaming. How did
Yeah.
that make you feel, and how did that happen even?
Um, Made me feel great, but it's so the coolest thing was, as I had told the kids early on, like this movie may or may not come out. I said it depends on when it's completely finished, 100% done, ready to be burned to DVD. We'll sit down and we'll watch it. And at the end of it, if we're all happy, if we're all proud, I'll burn it to DVD. But guys, if we're kind of like, it's all right. I said, I don't want to show it to the world. We'll keep it for just us. And then I said, I'm going to make you this deal. If we do love it and we do burn it to DVD, I'll let each of you guys get $1 from every DVD sold. And they lit up like Christmas trees and they were like, man, I hope we love this film. I want to see this come out. I want some Pokemon. I want to go to the jump park. I want to do this. I want to do that. I need some more G.I. Joes. And it really inspired them because, there's a lot of things they want and they're talking about working all the time and stuff like that. Like Anthony's like, man, I want to do some more acting jobs and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, dude, let's get you paid. So whenever the film was done, we all watched it. We were happy. I still was thinking, like, despite having 250,000 followers on YouTube, and having a decent following, I really thought maybe like in a 6-month period, we might sell like 1,000 DVDs because people know me for doing paranormal investigations. They know me for doing scary treasure hunting adventures, not necessarily as a movie maker, a filmmaker. So it was shocking to see that instantly we were selling thousands of DVDs every single month. I can tell you that it wouldn't have happened if I didn't have the YouTube platform. Every time I was doing a YouTube video or every other video, I was like, yo, guys, go get my DVD, go to malletmovie.com. And every time I would do that, like we would sell another 200 that week. And it got to a point where I was like, dude, everything comes full circle. Like when I was a kid, I never said I want to grow up and be a YouTuber. That wasn't even like out there. That wasn't even a thing. But when I was a kid, I did say I want to grow up and be a horror filmmaker. And when I was in my 20s, I wanted to make movies. I started making short films. I started making pitch trailers. I started scoring music for people. I started building sets for people, making props for people, doing special effects makeup for people. And I was doing everything except my own features. I did this feature film. I don't talk about it too often. I wasn't happy with it. I didn't have the right equipment. The actors I worked with were not good. I was not at my best. I was still messing around, dabbling in some stuff that maybe I shouldn't have. I still had a bit of a drinking problem. I finished the film and I went to put it out. I did put it out. People wrote about it all around the world, and I pulled it off the shelf before it could ever get on more shelves. And I was very unhappy with it. So I kind of left filmmaking for a little while. I never left it up here, but like I left it for a little while to do other things. Ended up doing YouTube in 2018, becoming, somewhat successful on that platform, and then taking money from that, opening up a haunted house attraction, investing in some real estate, coming back to filmmaking, doing my first movie last year. And I finally did it right. And it wasn't Mallet 1 was not the greatest film, but it was a good film. And I could hold that product in my hand and say, it is worth the price of a sandwich. So to see it make a couple hundred G's is awesome, but my kids got paid. I've never paid myself anything. Instead, I've looked at all the money that's left over after like taxes and expenses, of course. How many films can I do with that now? At $10,000 a picture, there's a lot I can fucking do. We just finished Mallet 2. Now we have an opportunity where Mallet 2 may go on to do really well. And this budget to do films just keeps growing and growing. Meanwhile, I'm still living off YouTube money, off real estate money, off savings and stuff like that. So it's kind of created this budget to where now I can do movies full time, but I'm also still very focused on YouTube and things like that. So, it's not like I got 200 G's and it changed my life. My life changed years ago, but it did change my life to where like now I can actually call myself a filmmaker. I do have my own studio. Dean's Haunted Mansion, Haunted House Attraction and Film Studios legit can fund our own movies. We're not, if we do like an Indiegogo, a crowdfunding thing ever, it's just so people can have a piece of something from the movie. Like, I doubt we'll ever do that, but if we do it so that they can have a perk to where they can get their name in the credits and say, hey, I was a part of this, I contributed to it. But we'll never reach out to studios and ask for money.
I couldn't picture you doing that because I know how much of an integral role you play in everything that you do. Like everything, the writer, director, special effects, filming, editing, lighting, music, everything. Like
Right.
you do it all. And if you let somebody come in, they would take that creative ability from you. Well, not really ability, but they would take control over your vision.
Yeah, creative control. Absolutely.
And what do you think your strongest suit is, considering all those things that you do?
Damn. Well, I mean, I just admit, what do you think? I want to know what you think before I answer this.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't know if I could actually pick one. If I had to, right off the top of my head, oh, the writing, like the creativity that comes with the writing. I think I wouldn't watch your movies if I didn't like the storyline, if you didn't get me with the storyline. But then to know everything else that you've done on top of that, I'd say the special effects is on point. Like you have your own blood recipe. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing. That takes talent. Like you don't see me in the kitchen just making fake blood for no reason. It's like
Right.
it's hard to pick one because you are very good at everything that you do. And I'm not saying that because we're friends. I'm saying
Yeah.
it because it's the truth.
No, I do appreciate that, and I know that about you. Like and that's one thing I love is I love having people in my corner that will tell me when I suck or when something's not up to par or something doesn't work. Like I love when people tell me something's broken and they're just real with me, and I know you're that person, so I appreciate it. I would definitely say the writing too. I was leaning more towards that, and then there's the music thing too. But I would say with the writing. I'd be surprised if I spent an entire week writing the script for Mallet 2. I'd be surprised if I spent an entire week writing the script for Mallet 1. The Devilry, the movie we start shooting first quarter of 2025, maybe spent 2 weeks writing it. However, during that 2 weeks I was writing it, I was extremely busy. So like whenever I do sit down to write, it flows and it just comes out. I get a lot done. I can write thousands of words like, very easily within 48 hours if I'm really like if people leave me alone and just give me like 4 to 6 hours to sit down, you'd be blown away by how quick I can write a script. And it's not that I'm trying to get them done quick. It's just that once it comes up here, it just flows and I don't know what happens, but something does unlock and it's crazy because in school and growing up, I didn't have the best looking handwriting. I was one of the best readers in the class, but I've never in my life read a full book from front to back. Never. Maybe a comic book. I don't think that counts, but I've never read a full book from front to back. And I'm not talking, maybe like little skinny books like that. Yeah, okay. But I've never read like a novel front to back. I've never read a Twilight book from front to back. I've never,
Right.
nothing. So the irony in that is if you set me down to write a script, I can probably write the whole thing. If nobody bothered me, I could probably finish a whole script in 48 hours.
That's incredible. I know that whole creative process, when you're in that zone, you can pump out some amazing work. And that just goes to show you're inspired. you like what you're doing, you believe in what you're writing, and it can just come out so much easier that way. As a side, having something forced on you. Books, I would say comic books count. Comic books, like graphic novels.
Yes, some of them are definitely very good, but yeah, it's something that I've wanted to do. I think what's crazy is I've never had great patience, like in anything I do. Like no matter what it is, I do not have great patience. You wouldn't know that, but like especially when it's something that I'm not super overly, super extremely passionate about. So, like when it comes to horror films, I'm so passionate about them that when I sit down to write them, I'm just locked in. Like I I can honestly say like I feel like a professional writer when I sit down to write horror films. Which is crazy because like that was never like my strong suit in school, like a high school dropout, like it just doesn't really make sense. But what I write is really good material. And um when I say it's really good, like I never try and like I sit there and I read it afterwards and I'm like, wow, this is actually really fucking good. Like it's crazy. You would have thought I've been doing this my whole life, but I haven't. The writing didn't really come until like my mid-20s, and when I started doing it in my mid-20s, I've got scripts on a hard drive that I wrote from then that I haven't even thought about doing. Like
And
just really great
it's
stuff.
amazing too how you're from Mallet 1 to Mallet 2, how much the character development is there. Like the characters are growing as you're making the movies, and that definitely suggests strong writing skills. You're still discovering things within your character that you wrote that you didn't realize were there, and you're
Yeah,
like, yes, this is like so much better than I imagined when you brought it to life.
that is wow. Yeah, that is so true. But I mean, see, you're a writer, so like you definitely you get how this whole thing works and the process is, and it, writing is definitely quite the skill. Oh my God, this place is freaking haunted. Something just happened like right in a corner where nothing could happen.
Uh-oh, I didn't see it. What happened?
There was just like a loud noise right here. You didn't hear it?
Mm-mm. No.
Wow. Okay. That was so weird, but okay. I'm sorry. We'll continue on.
So, what would you say is the easiest part about making the movies? Do you think it's the writing because it comes so naturally for you, or some another aspect?
Yeah, the writing definitely is the easy part, but I will say it, to skip past that now. I would say the easiest part for me is making the music. I've I've been making music since I was 9 years old, and I just so whenever I'm writing these scenes, I can see what kind of music needs to be like made to fit that scene. I know that sounds weird because music's something we hear, but I can see it. And then I sit down and I just start making it and it comes out exactly like what I seen for it. And then sometimes I have to tweak it or whatever, or it's better than what I thought it would be, or slightly different. But for the most part, like I'm always pretty right. Um, the soundtrack for Mallet 2, in my opinion, is pretty incredible. It's something I'm super proud of. In fact, like I've never said some shit like this. Like probably 3 weeks ago, I was like, dude, I want to put this on vinyl. I want to release the soundtrack separate. Something I never thought about doing. Like, yeah, you'll get the movie and you'll hear these things, but I actually want to take the music from the movie, put it on a vinyl record, have a limited run of them come out where people could have, them if they wanted, or just so I have some on hand for me. Cause it's like, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece, but maybe it's a masterpiece for what I can create. Like out of everything I've created in my life, this is the best I've ever done. Like the music fits every single scene. And when you know the movie, then the music becomes even better to you. So like if you heard the song and you liked it, once you watch the movie, then you'll be like, oh shit, this means so much more now.
I did see you pairing certain songs that you wrote with different scenes when you were editing, and it really made a difference what you chose because there was some that just weren't working well and you knew it and you switched it up and man, it was perfect. It just brought those elements together, brought them to life. It made the scenes creepier and I'm totally buying a vinyl if you release those. That is badass.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, you know, probably the only thing in the whole movie that I didn't specifically make for the movie is the music that I used in your sex scene in the movie.
Oh.
So I did not make that music for that scene, but when I put that scene together, I was thinking about making what I had seen in my head for it. And I was like, wait, I have something like that. So why would I make it? Let me just see if it fits. And when I put it in, I plugged it in there. I was shocked at how perfect it was for that scene. So there's like one song on the whole movie that I didn't specifically make for the movie.
So you just put that out there, huh?
Yep, everybody. Krista has a sex scene in Mallet too, so you better go watch it now. You know what I'm talking about.
It was a lot of fun. Woo. All right. Well, let's get back to the movie.
Yeah, I got some questions for you after you get done asking me questions now.
Nah, so this is about you today. So how bloody and more gory and violent would you say Mallet 2 is compared to Mallet 1?
Holy shit. Holy shit. Oh God. Very, very. So on the first movie, I was expecting some people. Now, mind you, a lot of people that bought the DVDs, they are supporters of mine. They love me to death. So like they probably can't find it in their hearts to be mean to me. But I will just say this. I never got any bad feedback from anybody on the first movie. The only thing anybody said that could be not be considered as bad feedback, but like just feedback that wasn't like, damn, I loved everything about it, was people. There was maybe like a dozen people that said, I expected it to be more bloody and more gory. And I'm over here saying to myself, I wanted it to be more bloody and more gory, but it was my first movie. And I was trying to like keep everything just, you know, nice and solid, man, on a line. I didn't want to go too overboard because when you set up big effects and you do it all yourself, you've seen me. You have to set up a major effect, make sure the lighting's right, direct the actor, make sure you touch up the effect one more time, jump behind camera, make sure you're liking the way you're going to see it, yell action. And it's a lot. With the first movie, I wasn't ready to bite big effects off yet, even though I knew how to do them. And I know I was doing them in my mid-20s for people. There's stuff I've done out there that people haven't seen. They don't know that exists. I don't promote it. I don't post it. I don't talk about it, but it's stuff I'm proud of. There's a scene I did with the guy when I was like 26 years old where they were like, when this gun goes off, we want his brains to hit this wall behind him. I said, done. And I did it, you know, and I had only been doing special effects for like 6 months. So to answer that question, Mallet 2 is crazy bloody and gory. It's very violent. I remember when I was writing the script, somebody said to me that week, how far are you into the script? And I said about 100 gallons of blood. And and they were like, whoa. Did we end up using 100 gallons of blood? I honestly, we used a freaking lot. I don't know if it was quite 100 gallons of blood, but I'll just say that I thought we were going to use a lot more than what we did, but it's very, very, I mean, I'll tell you this, if I would have had to pay somebody to do the special effects for me that I did in this film, it would have easily cost me 60 G's. Easily. Like, you know some of the stuff, so I don't want to give any spoilers out there to people yet, but I'll just say that there's effects in this film that usually you gotta like have an effects company do, like people that know how to do stuff on cue, people that know how to rig it, people that know how to make the blood. Because if you use blood out of a store, I'm not saying you couldn't get away with it. I'm sure people do it. You know, I keep some on hand because there are some bloods that are off the shelf that are decent. But I will say that there's nothing like making your own blood because I know what color the blood's going to turn once I put color correction on it. And that's important to me. Like, I fucking care. So, you know, I have a certain something that I put in all the blood I make that gives it this one tone. And I know once color correction hits it, it's going to make it look even darker and richer and gorier. Uh, so it's super bloody, super fucking gory, man. And I'll say that I did not hold back on part 2, but I'm still so much more capable of doing 10 times bigger than what I did in 2. Uh-oh. Did she cut out? You cut out, Krista? No.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I
thought
sneezed, so I muted it, and I forgot to unmute it. I didn't want to
I
sneeze.
was like, dude, she lost her voice over there.
I was just saying there's so much amazing blood in this movie. It's splattering and dripping and squirting and oozing, and it's so chunky and amazing. And it was so cold when you dripped it on us because you refrigerate that stuff.
Yeah.
Seen that.
Yeah, when you refrigerate it, it thickens it a hair. And that's good because sometimes when I make these bloods, I noticed depending where somebody gets cut, sometimes the blood is a little bit different. Like artery blood's different than like a cut on the finger blood. Deep, dark, rich blood, you know, that's hanging out in areas that you definitely don't want to get punctured in. There was one blood in the movie. All I'll say is this: there's this one blood that I made in the movie that I've never seen on a screen in any horror film before. When it's coming out of the intro credits of the film, there's a scene that happens. And in the end of that scene, there's this blood on this woman that I made that with color correction and the lighting just looks freaking phenomenal. It looked exactly the way what I was going for. I've never seen blood like it before. It's so different. When you see it, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. Like we're like, holy shit! Like you really actually thought about this. Like it was so good that I thought about like I even told I told Alicia and the kids I was like I should like keep this recipe and remake this and possibly put it out there for people to buy and use just because once people see how it looks on camera with, you know, like lighting and color correction, it's different. I've never seen anything like it. So there's some people, they might not get it. They might just say to themselves, oh man, that's bloody and gory. But some people are going to be like, dude, that blood looked crazy.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yep.
I have not seen that yet. I'm excited. So how many movies do you think you could do in a year? You know, just curious because you keep talking about you have the 2 more coming up. You know, you're going to try to do more than one a year.
So I do want to. How many do I think I could do a year? If I cut back on YouTube majorly and actually, if I cut back on YouTube majorly, which I'm not saying I'm going to do that, but if I did, if I cut back, like I try and drop 15 videos a month. I will say for the last several months since I've been working on the movie, it's been more like 10, 11 videos a month. But if I cut back to like, let's say 6 videos a month, I could probably knock out 3 movies a year. Now with that said, I had told everybody, I told you, I told Alicia, I told my friends, family, after Mallet 2 was over, that I would not start another movie until next year. And we scheduled The Devilry to start filming it in the first quarter of 2025, which is going down. But then I wrote another script more recently. I don't know how I found the time. I had some moments one day, had some moments the next day. there's probably still some parts that I will touch up on it, but I'll say that in like 48 hours, I wrote this horror comedy that I never wanted to touch comedy. People have always told me I should be a comedian. People say that I'm funny. They've been hearing that my whole life, and sometimes I do know that I'm funny. I just got confident in this 48 hours. I was writing this horror comedy, and all these jokes, all these funny lines and situations, and even the title of the film, everything just poured out, and it was so good. I was like, I can do this. And the crazy thing is it's a lot easier to shoot than a movie like Mallet, and probably will have the same effect. So much easier to shoot that I could shoot the whole movie in like 1 to 2 weeks. So, because of the time frame, I am now talking about shooting another movie this year in October.
Ooh. I bet
Yeah.
you have a lot of people, including myself, excited about that. It's comedy horror from Jody Dean.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what I can do with it. And I've already talked to you. I have a part for you in it. I don't want to give too much away about the film, but I'll say that it's going to be cool seeing what you can do now that we know how you can transform, coming from Krista, my writer friend, to playing a prostitute and selling the shit out of it, and Mallet too, to playing a homicide detective in the next movie.
I'm
Yo, gang.
excited about it.
That's going to be really cool. So, that's, I told people I wasn't going to do it, but the funny thing is Alicia, she, last year when I finished Mallet 1, she was like, don't do another movie until next year. And I was like, okay. So I really made focused on getting everything prepped for the next movie. And I was ready to go like 2 months before we started filming. But we started in January. We just ended here in late April. And as soon as it was done, I wrote this script for this horror comedy. And I was telling her about it, and she was like, maybe you can squeeze that in this year. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? She believed in it that much that she said that.
I was going to say, a lot of people don't realize the role that she plays behind the scenes in your movies. I know we talked about Anthony and Jason, but can you tell everybody about the roles that she plays behind scene?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Dude, she does a lot. So, Alicia, she just graduated from law school. She's very smart. She's great with contracts. She's great. On the film, I call her my legal assistant, besides being my partner. Obviously, she's a producer because what's mine is hers, and we did this, together. But I will say that she's the person that makes sure that every contract is signed, every release is signed, every permit is granted and signed. Everything legal you can imagine is taken care of, and it's on my desk at the end of the day saying, hey, here it is, here's your security. But also finding locations and things like that. I'll go and I'll tell her what I want. I'll go and I'll scout it, but like she'll find it, and then I just make it happen. So that's a huge thing, because with so much on my plate, you do got to have a little help somewhere. I couldn't make these movies without the actors. And she's definitely made it easier. But then, yeah, she's also, feeding us all, making sure that my actors eat, that I eat, that my equipment is charged, and helping me with things like that behind the scenes. People wouldn't realize, like, I'll wake up and she knows I have to film, and she'll say like, oh, I got you 7 batteries ready. All your SD cards are right here. Like, I got this lens and this packed and everything. We're going to have lunch in 4 hours. So get it done. So like she helps.
Yeah, I saw that you guys work synonymously together. It's like she knows exactly what you need when you need it. It's just like the coffee. She always has your coffee ready for
It's
you. You can
the
tell
coffee too.
some more coffee, baby? She goes, it's getting a little bit late for coffee now.
Yeah, she knows exactly how much coffee I have to have a day, or how much I want. I should say, not have to. Oh, you better have my coffee, woman. No, she knows, like, yeah. And here's the crazy thing: is horror is not her cup of tea. She's the kind of person who'd rather sit down and watch a family movie, a romance, a comedy. Like, horror is the last thing on her freaking mind. But she will be the first person to tell you. With Mallet 1, she said it was good. It's good. She didn't jump up and down. She said, it's good. It's good, Jody. You guys did a good job. Not overly excited. When she's seen how much money the film made, she wasn't excited because of the money. She was blown away that something that she thought was just okay did that. And she was impressed that this dream I've talked about for years since I met her, of making movies, that I finally got one. I did it. And that was enough for her to say, well, people want to see your work. It means that much to you. Now I can see the work. See, at first she was thinking to herself, you're taking 6 months away from your family to do something. I hope it's really worth it. Because remember, I wasn't just making a movie last year. I was making 15 videos a month on YouTube. I was getting Dean's Haunted Mansion ready for haunt season. Ghost Adventures was coming to film with me. Like, I had bought another house. Like, I really was busy, and on top of it, I don't pay people to manage all my properties. I manage them. So our life was just hectic, and on top of it, I added to making a movie to it. So last year, she didn't get it at first. She didn't make my life live in hell. She's never done that. She's always been supportive, but you could tell there was a little cloud hanging over, and she kind of was like, I don't know if I get it. I hope it's worth it. I think we've seen how short life is these last few years, with accidents and things behind the scenes. And I think that was it. But once she's seen, like, people love this, there is a market for this. It is amounting to something. It could better the kids' future. Now they have acting reels. Now they can get acting jobs. Now they want to act. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, you made me see your vision. And she was like, you need to do Mallet too. And that's fucking crazy to me, because again, even up until I just sent this DVD away to be pressed, I've heard her talk to people on the phone and say, I really like his new movie is really good. That's not really my cup of tea. I'm not really a horror lover, but it's actually fucking good. Like, that's a huge thing, when you've been with somebody a long time and their feelings on stuff. And like, I never thought I would hear her say that about a project of my mind. And I'm not offended by that either. That never bothered me, but it is really cool for her to acknowledge it in that light.
That's awesome. And it's important to have that family dynamic and the whole, like, all of you guys working so closely together to make this happen, because it takes a lot and you guys do it very well. So
Yeah.
it's amazing to witness, even from the outside, the support that you guys have for each other. And Alicia, for me too, she was the one girl. It's funny. I posted something on Instagram. A girl should tell another girl when her crown is crooked. And then she writes me, she goes, or to be the one to tell you when you have blood dripping down your butt crack. Because
Yeah.
she told me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, she keeps it pretty fucking real, man, and she's an awesome person to have in the corner. But so are you. I mean, we're super stoked. Like, I've been beyond stoked to have you in our circle, and it's just a big plus that now, like, I know, like, just because we're friends, like, I wouldn't just put you in things. Like, I won't do that with anybody. Like, I had some friends hit me up about Mallet too. And I'm not saying this is not, like, I could find a role for a friend. I would never give a friend a fucking heavy dialogue role. Never. Background, walking down the street, in the background, holding up a sign, maybe a dead body. Like, you really want to be in the film, man? I'll find something for you. You're a friend. Like, I don't want to turn somebody down. Like, I will do that if it makes sense. But I would never give somebody a part like I gave you if I didn't think you had the skills to pay the bills. And you showed up, you showed out, you executed, and it's just a big plus that, you know, not only are we really good friends, have a shitload in common, we love horror, man. Now we're doing this podcast thing together, but you're actually a really good actor, and I think that you're going to get better and better, and it's cool that you want to do some more. So, you know, I plan on putting people that I work with in films that do good in everything I do. I would like to be like the Adam Sandler of horror, where like I have a certain group of people I work with where I say, hey, Elon, yo, I got this for you, man. Krista, I got this for you. Let's bring everybody back and let's keep doing it, just doing it different.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. It's been such an amazing opportunity, and I'm glad our paths crossed. Just
Yeah,
one
same.
time a friend told me to watch your HTD channel, and that you never know what life has in store for you. But I do
Yeah,
have
how did that work though? How did wait 1 second. How did that work though? How did you find me?
somebody told me, like, everybody knows that I'm a huge horror fan, and
Mhm.
so I was looking for different things to watch because I got tired of watching Ghost Adventures and the stuff on TV. And a coworker actually said you should check out the Hunting the Dead YouTube channel. It's really super creepy. I think you were doing hunting back
Oh
then.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't, like, they told me I should do it, and it took me about 6 months before I actually, found the channel and started watching. And I just once I started watching, I just never stopped, and I went through the whole channel in probably, like, I think about a year. I got caught up with everything, and I just loved your style, loved your personality, and you're just very entertaining in general. And your family being involved with you, it's like nice seeing you guys together. It's so cute seeing Jace in these videos you're doing now, the Randonautica. It's great.
I love that too, man. Yeah, I'm happy that people were happy to see him. But thank you for everything you just said. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad that you went down the HTD rabbit hole, and yeah, because in all honesty, like, so the way this happened, for anybody that doesn't know how we linked up, like, yeah, you were watching, but from the first movie, it was doing really, really well, and has done really well. But at the point, like, it's doing so well, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I throw something up from the movie, if somebody would be interested in owning it. You know how people, like, a movie will come out and somebody will say, oh, this was screen used. You now have the opportunity to buy it. So I put up the mallet, one of the mallets that he used. We had two of the mallets, right? So he used both of them. Like, we'd keep one in one vehicle, one in the other, to make sure anytime we went to a location, we had one of them. So we had two mallets, and I was like, well, I can still keep one. So um let's put one of the mallets up. I'll sign it, Jace will sign it, Anthony will sign it, and see if anybody wants it. So you hit me up like so quick when it went up, but we hadn't really talked, I don't think. Like,
No, we hadn't talked. I saw it up there, and you said first come, first serve, and I think I saw it like 24 hours later, and I'm like, "Oh, I bet I missed my opportunity to get this." And you're like, "Actually, no."
yeah, so some people had wrote me, they messaged me instantly, and they were like, if you can hold it to the first, if you can do that, oh, it's first come, first serve, man. Like, I don't want to, like, I want somebody to get it that really wants to get it. Whoever gets it first gets it, period. So you hit me up, we talked, you bought the mallet. I sent it to you. I seen you were excited. You sent me a picture of you with the mallet. I'm like, that's awesome, man, that this girl got this, and she seems like she really wants it, and she'll, like, cherish it. That made me happy because I wanted somebody to get it that actually was a supporter of the movie, liked what I had done. It just would mean that much more to me, because I mean, that's a big piece. That's a piece that was used in the whole movie to kill people, right? um but whenever I was talking to you after that, like, awesome, thank you for the pictures. um I said, you never know. I think I said something like, you never know, if we have a part open up, maybe we can get you in a Mallet movie. And you seemed excited, but you kind of seemed like, yeah, right, he's talking shit, like, that ain't ever gonna happen.
Exactly what I thought.
But I'm like, one thing about me, and you can ask anybody that's in my circle, is I'm a fucking man of my word. uh Especially, like, I mean, I just am. But so whenever we had this part come up, I was like, I think this girl lives far away, but hey, I'll throw it out there to her. We talked about it. And you were like, yeah, I'm in. I got points saved up. I'll come out there. And I'm like, because I think the whole thing why I was like, I knew the role paid like what it did, like whatever it was. And I was like, it pays this much, but if you live in Colorado, it probably, I don't know if it'd be worth it. Probably just cover your plane ticket or something like that. And you're like, oh, I got points saved up. I'm coming out there. So but the thing is once we were talking, I was like, I think she's actually going to kill this. And you showed up and you blew my mind. Like almost everything in the movie for your scenes was one take, maybe two at the max. Right?
You were thinking, yeah, you're embarrassing me, but yeah, we did. It just went pretty good. I don't know. It would just kind of all fell into place and it was amazing. I'm super stoked. I got the mallet. I still can't believe I got the mallet and it led to awesome friendship. But yeah, even seeing just what you said, I didn't believe you. You're like, yeah, if a part comes up, it's like I didn't know you. It's like it's something you tell people, right? And it just happened to all work out, and I just believe that it was meant to be that way. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, when you came down, like not only did you like kill the part, but then like my kids loved you, and we all just mingled so well, and it was so great. And I just knew we were all going to be friends for a while. So yeah, not to get too crazy far off track, but like that's how this whole thing happened with the podcast, and her going to be in future films as well. So
And your mallet, even actually, it's my mallet now. It
yep.
even had a place on my Christmas tree. I hung it on my Christmas tree. I sent you a
I
picture.
think that did it for me. I think when you sent me a picture and you're like, "Look, it's a Christmas ornament." I was like, "Okay, she appreciates it. She does. Yeah, she definitely, man, she deserves this role."
I don't know why. I had to have it. I just saw it posted, and I'm so glad because I just happened to get paid by a client that same day, and
That's
that morning
crazy.
I sent you the money for it, and yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is like for me, it wasn't about like the money at all, but I knew somebody that'd be willing to pay for it. Like the way that your approach was about it, like I was like, okay, she wants it. She really wants it. But then once I seen the pictures and the appreciation and being on your Christmas tree, I was like, okay, she really sees what I'm doing here. And you did a write-up too. Oh my God. So we didn't even talk about that. So you did this write-up. Now, Krista's a writer, and this is all relevant to all this too, by the way. So you're a writer and you did this write-up. You didn't even tell me you were doing it. You just did it. I don't even think I seen it right away. I think I seen it with like 24, 48 hours after it had been posted. I don't remember exactly, but I don't think I seen it right away. And when I did, I was reading it, I was like, you're the first person that seen the movie different than how I seen it. But your way of seeing it made so much fucking sense that it made me look at it in a different light. And like I was like, this is really good writing. For you to get inside of here, you've got talent. So a lot came from that. And in the write-up you've got, she's done a write-up now for Mallet 2 that's going to be coming out soon. It's freaking phenomenal. Like the best write-up anybody has ever done on anything that has to do with me. So that's big stuff. I mean, that's how we got here.
I appreciate all the nice things you're saying. Yeah, that mallet too. The mallet one write up that I did. I was watching the movie and taking notes, and I'm like, gosh, like, and I could see a lot of you from Hunting the Dead in there. That's why some of the elements stuck out to me. I'm like, oh, the spaghetti, Eminem. I did see things a little bit differently, but I mean, that's
Yeah.
what writers do. We see creativity behind the creativity, and it did take you. I don't. It took you about 3 or 4 days to see it. So I'm like, maybe he didn't like it, but you know how I am. I'm very like critical of my work because it means so much to me.
Yeah.
So it's not. I knew it was good. I liked it, and I'm glad you loved it as well. And I'm so excited for this next one to come out. I'm
Oh
sitting.
yeah. That that write up, both of them are phenomenal. But the Mallet 2 write up, it's kind of one of those things that when I seen it, it made me miss horror write ups in written form. They're still out there. It's still going on, but people have really a majority have transitioned into taglines in a post, to a quick video, to like to video, period. Short form video, right? 3-second videos, 5-second videos, 10 seconds, 60 seconds. It's so written material will always have a big, big place in this world. There was one point, I want to say around the time I made that movie that I ended up burying out there, that I had said it earlier. I had made this movie. It wasn't the best. I wasn't proud of it. I was proud that I made a whole feature film, but I watched the movie and I just wasn't proud of it. I think that's where, when I told the kids we would make a movie, and if we weren't proud of it, we wouldn't put it out. That's why, because I had been there before where I had put out something, and luckily only like 26 copies got into circulation of that one movie I wasn't happy about, and I pulled it. But people all over the world wrote about it. Like Trinidad, like crazy places. Like I don't even know anybody in Trinidad. Like at that time, I didn't have no YouTube following. I had like a music following, but none of my music people were buying my movie. Like I wasn't even promoting it to them. So I was in love with the write-ups people were doing about this film that I hated, that I wasn't proud of. And I was like, they're really nice. But since then, written form horror material has got less and less out there. And when I read the write-up you did the first time, I was like, whoa, this chick, like she's got skills. But when I read the second one, I was like, yo, you could actually be somebody that brings it back. I know you already have, your plans on writing children's books and doing other things, and no telling what you're going to do. Right. But when I seen that, I was like, dude, the horror community, the horror world is missing this. Like it's gotten to a point now to where like I'll go and I'll look at their write-ups and they've turned into one paragraph. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. You can say a lot in a paragraph. But dude, I mean, you that article, and I hope everybody watching this will take the time to read it when it comes out. It explains it in a way that I can't explain it to you, because you sat back and you watched and you had this article in mind, and it all started because you were on set taking mental notes and I had no clue. Like you were just observing and I'm like, whoa, like she had this in her pocket, bro. So yeah, that's a very important thing. When people put a lot into a movie, that's an important thing for people to acknowledge things that a lot of people don't think about. And you definitely did. Like you touched on things there where even like it resurfaced for me. Like I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like it's I don't know. It's just good writing, but it's also, if you have passion about what you're making, then it's going to be great. There's going to be love there. People will feel it if it gets in front of them. So there I am making something that I'm passionate about, and I love, and everything you write, you're passionate about, you love. So yeah, it's so good. I mean, I really hope that there's more of that in the future, and maybe even from, that's might be a cup of tea that you don't know that you want to drink.
I'm such an old school person. So when it comes down to the writing, initially we talked about me just doing like an interview with you. And I'm like, dude, you deserve a feature story. Like, I'm going to write a feature story about you. And that's just what's going to happen. And I'm really happy with how it came out too. And hopefully everybody takes the time to read it, because we put a lot of work into it, back and forth with you and Alicia. And it came out really good. I'm excited. And thank you for, like, bringing it up.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. No, we're gonna blast it all to hell once it comes out. We're gonna put it everywhere that we can put it, and just pray as many eyes read it as they can, because not only is it are you talking about my film and everything, but hopefully people will rejoin the idea of wanting to see more writing about horror, because I still think it plays a huge part and needs to play a bigger part.
I think, we should just create a magazine, our own magazine, and put it out there. But like, you got enough on your plate.
I know. Well, you never know where the scream scene may go, man. You never know. We may just have a whole damn website here in the works. You just, no. I'm working it. Krista's working it. We hire people to help us work it, and it'll be the next big thing in the horror world. So
Yep, I'm excited. I do have one more question for you though.
okay.
Do you have anything to say to all the haters out there? People criticizing you. I know they're out there. I've seen comments. I've heard chatter, but does it even bother you what people are saying?
No. So yeah, this is something that I've had people talk to me quite often because they've seen the hate out there, and like they see people hating on me, and it's like, you know, why? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, so from the time I was a kid, I've always had like haters. And I look back and I ask myself why. And I'm like, well, I was always doing something. I started doing music when I was 9 years old, going in the studio at 14 years old, having my own studio by the time I was 16 years old, recording my own music, putting out CDs, putting out albums. And I look back at all the haters that I had then. They all wanted to make music. They all wanted to put out albums and they weren't doing it. So I was a target. Then when I was 18, I started a nightclub promotion company, ended up running that for 7.5 years, become very successful. What I did was I was a music artist and I wanted to perform in clubs and open up for big people. So I figured if I start my own promotion company, I can get all the money from the doors of these clubs. I can get these clubs to pay me. I'll set up shows there and I will open up for these people because I fucking can. And that will blow my music up. So not only am I getting paid more than the artist performing there, but then I have the opportunity to promote my music and put on my resume that I opened up for so many people. I won't name drop, but I'll say at the time I opened up for a lot of big artists. And then at the end of the night, I was the one that took all the money. And back then, I had haters because artists were like, "Look at this kid, man. I'm like, dude, I just figured out something you couldn't do, or I figured out something that you didn't do. Not that you couldn't do. Anybody could do it. I just, I'm a hustler in my mind, put it together, and I was like, okay, I can do this. Again, mad at me for doing something that they could have done that I just happened to do better or have the chance to do it. I get out the music biz to try and walk the line and be a family man and be a better man and get out of the clubs, from the drinking, the smoking, away from the drugs, away from different girls all the time. Like, just slow the fuck down. You're very lucky. I had been shot. I had been stabbed. I had been stabbed in the back. There was one point there where, like, I had this vision of myself being this old, lonely man surrounded by people that didn't care about him, but I had a lot of money. I had been with a lot of girls. I had done all this shit that's just not really fucking important at the end of the day. And thank God I had that vision, because like a week later, I stopped drinking. 2 weeks later, I stopped smoking weed. Like 2 months later, I stopped hanging out in the clubs. I started getting healthier. I started getting cleaner, looking cleaner, being better. And then before you know it, I had my son Jace. And that completely changed my life, to where then I wanted to do better. I wanted to be a better man. And like, it really saved me, made me a better person. So to get to the real answer in all of this is, I was on such a good path. I had done lots of good things, successful things way before YouTube. But when I came to YouTube, I didn't have any big hopes or dreams or goals. I didn't even want to do YouTube. I was doing paranormal stuff for fun. Alicia says, you should make videos and post them on YouTube, because we knew other people that were doing it, and their stuff was, I don't want to say it was like whack, but like, I would just kind of watch it and be like, what the fuck is this? And like, whoa, like they're making all this money. I'm like, well, I can put some stuff out there. I'll see what happens. But it still wasn't my goal to make like a lot of money from it. It's just like, hey, people appreciate it. If I make a few bucks here and there, cool. Like 1 year, 2 months into it, it takes off. When it takes off, I had the most haters I've ever had in my life. And at that moment, leading up to that moment, there was hate here and there, right? When I was working my ass off to put out content and there was hate, I'm just like, I'm putting out free shit. Like, what do you want? If you don't like it, like, don't watch. There's so much out here, right? I didn't get the hate. I didn't understand. But once I started like getting paid and I was able to quit my 9-to-5 job and do YouTube full time, no matter what anybody said to me, I didn't give a fuck no more. It didn't bother me. I'm like, okay, you can sit in the comment section. You can make videos about me. You can do this or that, but you're not getting paid, motherfucker. Like, you know, like, and I'm like such a great guy, dude. Like, look, if you don't do me wrong, I won't do you wrong. You don't step on my feet, I won't step on yours. Actually, if you don't step on my feet, I won't break yours. So along the way, there's definitely, I think you could probably couldn't find a YouTuber doing the same shit that I've done that's had more hate than me. And think about that. What one of those YouTubers, like, and I'm not bragging by any means, but which one of those YouTubers that are doing the same thing that I am are making fucking movies that have a haunted house attraction that, again, I'm not bragging, but bought 4 fucking houses in 5 years. Like, I'm where I am because not because just my YouTube did good, but because my business sense, my hustle mentality, because of the kind of man I am, I'm a fucking grinder. Some of my YouTube friends that are way bigger than I am, they've told me they haven't seen anybody with my work ethic. My buddy Omar, like he's always, anytime I ever see him, it'll be the first person to say to me, like, dude, you're just built so fucking different. And I've never thought like that, but at this point in life, like I'm aware of it. Like I am. Like I'm 40 fucking years old. I should be chilling. I'm thinking about making the next movie, and I just finished one a few days ago. Like, there's some people that get money and they fucking buy a big car. I get money and I start businesses. Once those businesses are successful, I start another one. So when I look at people hating me, I get why. If I were you, I'd hate me too.
Damn. I don't hate you. I'm happy for you.
Well, no, you're the best, dude. And like, here's the thing about me, Krista. I can't wait to see you do bigger things than what you've already done. Every friend I've ever had, all I want to do is see success for them. But I think sometimes when it doesn't come for people and they constantly see you flourish or going up, haterism does set in. I don't get it. It's never been in my body. I have enemies right now that I pray for. Like when I see them and how bitter they are about me and like saying stuff about me, I pray. And in my prayer, like I'm being 100%. I swear on my son Jace, this is the truth. Like when I see them like hating on me, like, and by the way, when you're gonna see it, because now we're doing the scream scene. As this channel grows, we're gonna have haters, my friend. We're gonna have haters. It's gonna come. You'll know when we have a lot of them that we're about to pop. We're about to blow. So when I see that out there, people bring it to me, because they're gonna bring it to you. When they bring it to me, I sit there and I pray, and I usually say something like, God, please, like, surround this person with light. Let them think of something else besides me. Because the time they're spending thinking about me, they could have possibly got to where I am, or they could have got to where they want to be. But they aren't thinking about where they want to be because they're thinking about me. Or maybe it's not me. Maybe they're thinking about this guy, this girl, whatever. when people are constantly thinking about you, I ain't gonna lie, like there's been times where I'm like, that's fucking awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, well, thank you. I'm glad that I'm so fucking important to you. But at some point I feel bad for them. And you know, I think at the end of the day that I think, in my opinion, Taylor Swift's probably one of the sweetest people out there. She's done a lot of good things. She has great music. She stays like, she, I feel like she's just a good person behind the scenes. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? But even if I am wrong, I'm not going to go and bash her. I can go in her comment section right now and see 100 probably people telling her to go kill herself, that she sucks. Her songs suck. Who's winning?
Nope.
Fucking Taylor. Not the people like, yeah, hate gets you nowhere. Um, so, and I'm glad you actually asked me this, because I was telling Alicia the other day, I said, you know, a lot of people, when their YouTubes blow up, they're not ready for it. I know YouTubers that have 1 million more followers than me, 2 million, 3 million. It gets to them more than it does me. Now, mind you, they probably get it on a bigger level, because they have so many followers. The more followers you have, the more hate. At the end of the day, nothing anybody says about you fucking matters. They're not paying your bills. And the fact that they're speaking about you, they're giving you promotion that you can't pay for. Good or bad publicity, like, I hate to say it, but like, it's an extra click.
It is. It really is. And those people are, they're just hurting themselves because they put that negative energy out and the universe is going to give it back to them. So, tears of my enemy. That's great. Amen, man. Amen.
Yeah, that's so funny. Even the screen fucking put a big old thumbs down when it seen it. Ain't that funny? Oh my god. Yeah, no, it is. But I seriously do. I do pray for those people, and not just people hate on me. I pray for everybody that has like hate in their heart. Terrorist, um, you know, just the evil people of the world. It takes so much time, unnecessary time, and time is so short. Like, you could drive to 7-Eleven tomorrow and you could die. You could get hit by a car. Um, a, a and a plane could just land on your fucking house. You could just magically, randomly die.
Thanks for
Stop.
that. Thanks for that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's real life horrors right there. But
Yeah.
you know, like, that's the truth. Is like, I hate to say it, but like, if that happened to some of the people, I know I would be the last word that came out of their mouth.
That would suck. Yeah. Oh, life is too
Yeah.
short. Life is too way too short.
Yeah. It is, but I will say this, man. I am very thankful. I'm very thankful for even them. I really am, because you know, when I did find the most success I ever found, the reason like I'm good now is, I mean, whenever I had the most hate is whenever I was making the most money. And isn't that fucking crazy? That is crazy.
I don't I mean, it is crazy, but it's not, because people are put into your life for a reason. I really believe that, whether it's to teach you a good lesson, show you what you don't want to be in life, or show you who you do want to be. People are,
That's true.
yeah, I feel like there's always a reason for it.
Yeah, and even this is a good lesson right here, because you know, I know there's probably people that don't know they want to be a creator right now. And they may watch this interview and have thought at some point, like, oh, I'd like to be a YouTuber, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. Um, just know it's gonna come with obstacles, it's gonna come with things. Um, but don't change anything. You don't even have to read it. You don't have to look at it. I don't. Like, all my shit goes into held for review. Like, maybe once, twice a month. Like, I'll look at that section,
Mhm.
And like I'll see some shit and I'm just blown away by how many people like think differently than what I do, or something that's going on, or if somebody brings me something. So just know that you can ignore it. Just go on about your every day. Go to fucking IHOP. Take your kids to the park. Have
Yeah.
sex on that couch that you don't like. Just do some weird shit, man. Get weird.
Christen the couch.
All right. Well, I have a question for you. All right. So I have a couple questions for you. We're going to turn this around on Krista real quick. I know this is a long one, but that's okay because this is a good conversation. Do you got to go?
No.
You good? Okay. All right. Do you got to go pee?
A little bit.
Wow. Okay. All right, guys. She has to pee. All right.
I'm good though. I'm
Okay.
fine.
So, what is your favorite part? I mean, I know you've only done the one movie so far, but what was your favorite part about the movie? I'll let you tell me. What was your favorite part?
Of Mallet too? Or you mean
Yeah.
the first one?
Well, no, I'll say of Mallet too, of you actually being a part of something, you acting. Like, what was your favorite part of acting being in a movie?
Whew. Just being a part of the experience in general, being put in. Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm not a hooker, but I played one. So you got me so outside of my comfort zone. So you are actually building me as a person, if that makes sense. Like I would never just, walk around like that in public.
Mm-hmm.
No, so you really are getting me to be a little bit more comfortable with myself, honestly. So, like, experiencing that, playing that role that is completely not who I am in real life, it was one of my favorite parts. I surprised myself, to be honest. And I'd have to say the other part was being behind the scenes and watching you work your magic to be, I mean, watching your kids act, watching how comfortable they are. So I would say that was my favorite part.
Wow. That's powerful. And you know what? That's definitely that was my favorite part of having you a part of it. Was I remember a conversation we had before we filmed, and you were telling me that like this is a little out your comfort zone, and you're a little nervous, and you had been practicing, um and I remember you were saying maybe this will bring me out of my comfort zone a little bit. And whenever I was looking through the camera, and then I was putting it together, because for a lot of people that might know this, where we had set up, I actually brought my computer with me so I could edit after we were done filming. Like, that's just how I do things. I like to edit right after. That way, if I have to make adjustments, everybody's there. So when I was looking through the camera, I was like, dude, this is a way different person than who showed up. Like, you got into care, you sold it. Like, it looked legit. Like, I believed it. And sometimes in horror films, you don't have to, especially B movies. Like, there's room for not Oscar award winning performances. Um, I would say that your performance was like, she's a fucking actress. She played this good. And I mean, you had to dress a way that I don't know that you're used to dressing. You had to put these big ass eyelashes on. You had to wear this wig. You legit looked like a hooker. But as soon as all that stuff was off, like, you were fucking Krista. So like, when you can get into a character and you can sell it like that, like there were several times where we were like, oh, bitch look like a hooker standing out here. Even when we watch the movie now, I know everybody watching like, damn, I haven't seen the movie yet. But when we watch the movie now, and we get to those parts, we're just like, dude, she did that so fucking well. So, we don't do that with everybody we worked with. That's a big thing. You delivered an impactful performance, and for your first time, you should be super proud.
I am super excited. And I feel like dressing up, like you said, with the wig and the eyelashes, I think that really helped me feel the character
Hmm.
because I mean, the wig played a huge role. Like, I'm not blonde or dirty blonde or, and it just like your identity disappears and you become somebody else. And I love that. I'm a huge like Halloween person. I love dressing up for Halloween. And part of the reason is because I like to pretend to be these other people for Halloween, and it just came out in the movie, and man, I was surprised that I did that.
It was fire. It was such a good experience with with everybody, but like you left a mark on that whole trip, on that set experience. And did you walk away from that at all thinking, man, I'd like to do more of this. I'd like to do something else. Did you kind of get like the bug a little bit, like, man, I hope there's more opportunities to do more acting. Like this was really fun. Like maybe I could do something like this.
110%. Like I was there, I think, with you guys 4 or 5 days, and I was only filming for 2 days.
Hmm.
I was so bummed out and sad and depressed when my parts were over. But at the same time, I got to help a little bit behind the scenes and watch you do your magic. So it was a good experience both ways. But I was like, man, I wish I had more roles. I want some more blood on me. Like, yeah, I sure did. And we
Yeah.
actually ended up having to reshoot something later on that weekend. So I did get a third part of a third day in there. So I was super stoked about that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Like sometimes like that's not a question you asked, but it's definitely something that somebody might wonder at some point. Like, do we ever do reshoots? Um Sometimes we do add tos. Like I'll see something and I'll put it together and then I'll say, "Ooh, if we did this and maybe rip this girl's scalp off right here and the killer looks through it at this very moment, like bam, or her wig, however you want to say it." So like little things pop up like that. For anybody that just seen the new Mallet 2 trailer, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in that scene in the trailer. But that was, yeah, that we came back and did that. And the crazy thing is the lighting like matched up, everything matched up. It worked out perfect. I think we looked at the clip over and over trying to figure out exactly where we had the car. And we got it as close as we could. And it just was a really, really successful, shoot. And yeah, I would have never guessed that that would have been your first time. Like if you would have applied for the role, got the role, and showed up, and I never dug into your past, I would have said, okay, she's been acting for a while.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Never in my life have I done anything that intense. I would dance in a few music videos, but that was dancing, in the background. There was no speaking, no nothing, no remembering lines. It just got me. I was so excited when I came home, and then the opportunity to do a podcast with you. It makes me feel like I'm still getting a little of that rush, that vibe.
That's awesome.
Mm, it
Well,
was
as far as the podcast goes, and then we'll wrap this thing up, is knowing what a horror lover you are. We've had conversations on camera, off camera, a lot more off camera. Texting back and forth. Have you seen this? I've seen this. I'm like, she's legit. She's real deal. She checks out. Knowing that you can carry a conversation, that we have good energy, that I'm like, dude, this podcast just makes sense us doing it. And maybe occasionally you're not available, like bring a guest host on, it could work it the opposite way. This channel, blows up or some point and we got regular, content going, that I say, hey, you're gonna have to do a pod with Krista. I got COVID or some shit. You just never know, right? But like, yeah, definitely it made sense. It's something I wanted to do for a long time. It's something that we're not going to drop the ball on. And it's here to stay. So make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. Become members, become patrons. We're going to have some merch actually dropping in about 2 weeks. So, keep your eyes open, guys. Anything, Miss Krista, you want to say to the people before we leave?
just that I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to us, and I love you.
Nice. We love you guys so much. Thank you for your support. I hope you enjoyed this one. She definitely asked me a lot of questions there. I had no idea that they were coming. But you know, we post every week here on the Scream Scene, interviews, reactions, chats, lives. You just don't know what you're going to get, but it is going to be within the horror vein. So until next time, guys, we love you all, but sweet nightmares.